It's all right.
Multitasking? Dangerous.
There we go.
Commissioner Alejo. Commissioner Alejo. Commissioner Gorley.
Here.
Commissioner Gunter.
Here.
Commissioner Leppel. Commissioner Lopez.
Here.
Commissioner Oglesby.
Here.
Commissioner Orozco.
Here.
Commissioner Parker.
Here.
Commissioner Poitras.
Here.
Commissioner Snodgrass. Commissioner Stevens.
Yes, I understand. All right, we have a quorum, so we will move along. Commissioner Snodgrass, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, public comments. Anyone may address the commission briefly about items not already on the agenda. Please fill out a speaker request form available on the rostrum if you'd like to speak. Any comments from the public? Hearing none, we'll move on to special business. Musical chairs is about what we're going to play today. And I don't know if it's appropriate for the chair to nominate a person to replace him as chair of LAFCO, but I would like to do so. I would like to nominate Commissioner Gorley as the new chair for this body.
I'll second.
Okay. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. All right. We will proceed to change chairs. Actually, we got to do one more, don't we? We have to, before we do that, do I have a nomination for chair pro tempore?
I nominate Ian Oglesby as.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, musical chairs are complete. Congratulations, Chair.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Commissioner Poitras,
Yes.
former chair, I'd like to thank you for all your work at LAFCO.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed it. It took me a whole season to get used to it.
I can imagine. And for all your work and going to the LAFCO summit that we go to every year, and your attendance there, and the work that you've done on the budget committee, really appreciate that.
All right. Well, thank you
And
very
the
much.
staff, and I know staff shares the same sentiments.
Well, I appreciate that. And
thank you
I'm
very
right
much.
back at all of you. I appreciate it.
You bet. Now I'll move on to our consent item. Consent agenda. Does anybody have anything on the consent agenda they'd like to pull? Any members of the public have any comment on the consent? Seeing none, we'll move it back to the dais.
Move approval.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. Thank you. Adopt a resolution, or that's all part of the, okay, first public hearing, conducting authority. Proceedings to consider any written protests regarding an approved annexation to the Marina Coast Water District. We have a staff report on it.
Thank you, Chair Gorley, members of the commission. This is agenda item number 9, and our presentation today for the staff report will be given by our principal analyst, Darren McBain. Also, I'd like to acknowledge that in the audience here, we do have representatives from Marina Coast Water District. So, Darren, thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Chair, welcome, and members of the Commission. This item is a legally required follow-up action to the Commission's April 22nd approval of annexation to Marina Coast Water District of 6.7 square miles of lands within the City of Marina, the City of Seaside, and unincorporated Monterey County, as shown on the map on your screen. Today's hearing is basically an opportunity for registered voters or property owners to submit any last-minute protests of the Commission's approval in April, and for the Commission to receive and consider those protests. We have received no protests at all of this action, so staff is pleased to be able to recommend that the Commission authorize us to proceed with recording certificate of completion for this annexation. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing at this time. Anyone from the public wish to speak on this matter? Okay, we'll go ahead and bring that back to the dais. I think that the Commission can remember that we had, I think, several people testify, come up and present facts that they lived in the district and they wanted to be voting members. And I think that's something that we can all recall. So I think to move this forward, go ahead, Mayor.
I make a motion, we approve it.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
could I make a comment?
Sure.
Because as we know, this has been in the process for a long time, and I just want to thank the Marina Coast Water District, the members of the public, the LAFCO staff for moving this forward, and I'm just really pleased that we are here today getting this done. So, thank you.
Okay, I call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Being none, motion carries. Thank you. Old business, receive update on special legislation relating to the Fort Ord Reuse Authority dissolution process. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Agenda item number 10 includes an attachment, which is the most recent version of legislation being considered by the state legislature concerning the dissolution process for the Fort Ord Reuse Authority. We're providing this today primarily for your information. The bill that is attached here has made it through various committees and will be considered by the full California State Senate in July. The bill would authorize an extension of FORA's sunset date to 2022. Presently, that sunset date is next July. It would also reduce the number of FORA board members and reduce the duties and responsibilities of the FORA board primarily to winding down their transition, and would continue for that 2-year period some of the financial responsibilities and revenue streams. Mr. Monning's office reached out to your LAFCO staff last week and offered to meet with your council and staff somewhere in the next week or two to discuss any interests and concerns that we may have regarding this bill. It is under legal review at the moment by our council, and so we'll be very happy to take Mr. Monning up on that invitation. So that completes my report. Mr. Alejo has been definitely involved in this bill, so if you have anything, you'll be welcome to report on it pertaining to the FORA extension. Otherwise, it's for your information only, and I'd be happy to address any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Lewis?
Yeah, right on time then. Well, first of all, on the legislation, I guess we're monitoring to see what amendments get made, but it was very clear when the last analysis came out. It made it clear that I guess LAFCOs are not eligible for funding. You might have already said this. I was concerned that a lot of these obligations were going to be put off to this LAFCO without having the proper funding mechanism to do the work. At the last TAMSI Executive Board meeting, I raised the same concern there because there seems to be I don't know the right word. There seems to be an understanding that somehow the transportation responsibilities will eventually get delegated to TAMSI. And when I raised the same question about, well, how are you going to fund the work that needs to get done, the council for TAMSI and Debbie wasn't there that day, but other staff seem to think that, oh, we're just going to work out the agreements later. And I said, well, that's not guaranteed. If it's not taken care of in the legislation, it's going to be hard to get the funding later. All you need is a jurisdiction to say, we don't want to give any money to TAMSI to do that work, and there's no enforcement of that. So and there's only a month left now. The legislature is going to go off from mid-July to mid-August, and then there's a few weeks, 4 weeks after that. I think the last day of session is September 13th. So if there's a way to address LAFCO concerns, because it's already laid out in the analysis that we're not going to get any money to carry out the responsibilities, right now is the time to do the work. And I said TAMSI has to do the same. Otherwise, we're going to be left with a lot of responsibility with no money to do the work. The other thing I wanted to raise today is another concern, and I've expressed this to Senator Monning very candidly, that I'm concerned that at a time and the way this bill looks like, that if it's truly a winding down of FORA, and it doesn't seem to going to be an extension after 2022, there's concern whether there's even going to be staff left to do the work. At the time, you most need the most experienced staff to work through a transition, probably the most difficult part of any agency that's kind of seeing its end. You're seeing a high volume of staff leaving FORA. Not only did their council leave already, 4 of their staff, one I think joined us, but 4 of their staff. That's experienced senior staff, and that's only in the last 4 or 5 weeks. And so I'm raising concerns because I said if I don't raise them now and you start losing more staff, if you lose the director down the road, who's going to do all that work? Who's going to be working with LAFCO or the other successor agencies to be able to do all this work? But it's happening now. I'm not being hypothetical. I'm saying staff are leaving now, and I don't blame them. If I was in their shoes and I see an end of an agency, why would I stick around? I pack my bags and see if I could find a better offer somewhere else and not have the instability in my life. But that's what I think we all should be thinking through, because it's going to be a tough situation, and I think it's a mistake to extend it for 2 years, and I think it's going to be very problematic to wind things down without the adequate experienced staff with the resources, and everybody, well, not everybody, but some seem to think that things are just going to go fine by delegating duties, but without the right funding and staff, I think we're going to be set back for years. And I hope that we don't look back in 5 or 10 years and see that this was a mistake. So if there's an opportunity to try to correct and address some of these things, we only have till September 13th to try to get the legislation right, or we might forever lose that opportunity.
So what would be the outcome if FORA did lose staff? And there was any thoughts there at all?
We have a few thoughts. There's still, definitely there are questions that are unanswered at this point. The unfunded mandates are part of it. The legal exposure that LAFCO may have either before 2020 or before 2022 or after 2022. And there may be other potential complications as well that affect LAFCO's interests. And so because those matters are uncertain right now, we are definitely eager to take Senator Monning up on his invitation to meet somewhere in the next 10 days or so to discuss them. Potential outcomes could include changes, amendments to this bill, could include changes to the draft indemnification agreement that needs to be executed between LAFCO and FORA, could include changes to the litigation reserve terms and conditions that have been outlined in the transition plan. With respect to the FORA staff, I know, I agree, in the last just few weeks, there's been probably 6 staff that have announced retirements or moving on to other employers. And so most likely, I'm assuming that FORA is looking at the possibility of bringing on some good contractors. They already have, through a firm in Carmel Valley, access to good consultants through our RGS. And they work right now with a planning firm based in Monterey. So they have some sources to go to pick up some expertise. And so that would be one small part of the puzzle that needs to be addressed.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Would it make sense to form a subcommittee? And Commissioner Alejo would make some good points, and maybe the commissioner could be part of a team to meet with Senator Monning with you.
Sure, we'd be very happy to do that. We're actively arranging the meeting right now. It's going to occur before mid-July, so somewhere either this week or the following 2 weeks. So we would welcome one of our commissioners to take part in that meeting. I'll be attending, and either Les Gerard or Kelly here.
Mr. Chair, I have also asked our county to, our county council to also weigh in, and they have already been engaged. But I just, when I've seen, I was hopeful for more, and when I wasn't seeing much significant changes or an extension of FORA being real, then from my county point of view, I told me we have to have language to make sure our interests are addressed. But I would say the same, wearing my LAFCO hat, the same, and same with TAMSI, all these different agencies. And we were trying to be there were some agencies who were just a no opposition to Senator Monning's bill. The county didn't take that point of view. We did this supportive amended position because we were trying to work with our senator and tell him we want to be supportive because we did need more time to address a wide range of issues for FORA, but we were also hopeful that we could actually get an extension of time, of 6 to 10 years. When that didn't happen, that's when I started raising alarm. But we tried to work with him by not outright opposing it. But at this point, if things aren't addressed, I mean, at some point you have to just be candid and said, we have very serious concerns, and we can't just try to, we were doing that earlier in the legislative session, but as we're winding down to the last few months here, we have to be very candid and real. And ultimately, it's going to be in Senator Monning's hands. These kind of bills are in Sacramento are considered district bills, and usually other legislators, they're kind of looking to the local legislator and seeing what they want to do. They're not controversial up there because it's not in everybody else's district, so they're following the lead of their colleagues, right? So it's truly one that's going to be in the hands of Senator Monning, because even the other 3 legislators that represent Monterey County, they've been following Senator Monning's lead. But I hope that he could hear us out, that we are very concerned. We've tried to be very diplomatic, and that we hope that he could include some modifications and amendments that can address concerns from the multiple agencies that are going to be left saddling a lot of this work after 2022.
Through the chair, if we're looking for a subcommittee, I would nominate the chair, the vice chair, and Commissioner Alejo. I think that represents public, city, and county. And I think that would be a great group to meet with Mr. Monning to share our thoughts and concerns.
Thank you. So noted. Can we move forward with that subcommittee? Do we need a vote? Okay, chair. Okay. Okay, sounds great. Okay, anything from the public on FORA this afternoon? Seeing nothing from the public on FORA this afternoon, we received our informational report, and we'll move on. New business, accept a report on administrative approval of out-of-agency service extension by the City of Greenfield to 6 existing single-family houses on Apple Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item will be presented by Darren.
Thank you. This is an information item per Monterey County LAFCO's locally adopted policies regarding an out-of-agency water and sewer service extension by the City of Greenfield to 6 single-family houses located just outside the city limits and in the city's designated sphere of influence. These are parcels that are located just in this little L-shaped area to the west of the city. These are properties that are inhabited. They are on contaminated private wells with unsafe drinking water. They are in the city's sphere, so at some point, eventually, it's expected that sooner or later they will annex to the city and develop, which would be the appropriate time and place to evaluate a project for its conformance to LAFCO's policies and state legal requirements. For now, this is this extraterritorial approval of city water and sewer service is really an excellent way, a very efficient and effective way to alleviate the unsafe drinking water situation for these residents on these properties. Again, this is an information item, and our recommendation is simply for the commission to accept this report. Thank you.
Any comment from the commission? Seeing none. Thank you, Darren. Consider business items from the 2019 Annual Conference of the California Association of Local Agency Formation Commissions.
Okay.
Kate?
All right, thank you. Agenda item number 12 includes 4 action items relating to the annual upcoming conference of Cal-LAFCO. The conference will be held at the end of October in Sacramento, and traditionally a good number of our commissioners and staff attend that 2 or 3 day event. The first item that we're requesting your action on is any input that you may have on conference topics that are attached to the staff report, and as part of that we are requesting that you authorize attendance. At a minimum, the attendees that we would be recommending are 3 of your staff, that is your 2 analysts, an executive officer, our 2 general counsel, attorneys, and any and all commissioners who express interest at today's meeting. And I know that one of those at least will be our very own Commissioner Jane Parker, as she sits on that Cal-LAFCO Board of Directors and is part of the program committee for the conference. So I'm sure you'll be there. So it might be easiest if we just take the four items one at a time. If you have input on topics and any interest in attending, this would be a good day to tell us.
And I think we've done, historically, I think we're not changing anything that we've done in the past couple of years anyway. Mm-hmm. When we had rough budget times, it was different. But anything else from the commission on this first topic?
Well, actually, if I could, Mr. Chair, I would like to call people's attention to the list of potential session topics that's included in your packet. And I would just say that these are topics that have been proposed, and the committee is going to be making some we're going to be narrowing down the options, and because this board is meeting between our last meeting and our next meeting, I thought it might be useful to just get a sense from you all if you are likely to attend, or if you were going to attend, are there any of the topics that particularly call to you that you would like to, it's a topic that you'd like to learn more about, and you would actually attend it if you were at the conference. What we're looking at is 3 general sessions, so for the entire membership, and then 6 breakout sessions. So there are quite a few possibilities for exploring topics in more depth. So it just would be helpful if as you look through these proposed topics, if any speak to you, if you could just say so, then it helps me as I'm working with the rest of the committee to propose proposed topics. Thanks.
I'll second that. Approved? All those?
It would be a great help to us in organizing and preparing for the conference if individual commissioners wanted to let us know today if it looked like that may fit on your calendar and if you have a specific interest in attending. Okay.
I'm interested in going for the water conversation. There's actually 2 on there, as well as the fire conversation, the catastrophic fires 2.0.
Okay. Right.
And then sustainable ag for myself.
And then on the question, I plan on attending. And then I would say evaluating difficult LAFCO proposals.
Chair, I'd be interested in going, although I've gone now several years in a row, so I don't want to take the place of someone else who hasn't been recently who would like to go. But if there is room and somebody is not interested, then I can count me in, please.
It's so valuable. I mean, what do we have for commissioners? How many commissioners?
We basically can move money around between our line items to accommodate as full of attendance as possible. It really is very valuable, as our chair Gorley is indicating. So you're all welcome.
Well, put me down. If I cancel, I'll have to let you know.
Okay.
Where's it? Commissioner Parker, where's it at this year?
I believe it's in Sacramento, so not too far.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I think we have a motion. Do you know, second it? All in
Good.
favor?
Aye.
Approved. Motion carries. Thank you.
Our second item relating to this conference is to appoint 2 voting delegates to act on CalLAFCO business that comes up at the conference. So that would be 2 members from the list of commissioners who will be attending.
Can I recommend the chair and the co-chair be our voting delegates?
Second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Being none, motion carries. Thank you. Okay. The third one?
Third item is there is an opportunity to make nominations today of a city member and a public member from this commission who may want to serve on the CalLAFCO board. There are 4 seats on the CalLAFCO board that are held by 15 or 16 coastal region representatives. And it happens that this year, a city member and public member seat are coming up. I don't know yet if the individuals who currently hold those seats are interested in running again, but regardless, you could, one of you could, or both a city member and a public member could be nominated today. And that would involve being active at the conference.
And I think it's a quarterly meeting, I believe, isn't that right? Quarterly meetings, and they did rotate them when I was on CalLAFCO. So they'd be Southern California, Northern California, Sacramento. They just moved them around. So.
And you can participate by phone if you can't actually get there physically.
And we would keep in mind, too, that presently the coastal region's county seat is held by Commissioner Parker.
Do we have
So-
any interest from anybody on the commission?
Are you interested?
Right.
Been there.
He has. So then
Well,
that's...
From
just
a
for-
city's perspective, I'll throw my name out there,
Right on.
All right. Good.
I'll go with that, I guess.
Good choice.
I think
Thank
Ralph,
you.
Ralph was on it for a number of years, too.
Ralph was on it before,
Yeah.
and that was
Okay.
good.
All right, thank you. And then the fourth item is also information or action.
Do we need a motion for that, or just direction?
Just direction is fine. I've got it, thank you. We'll work with Commissioner Oglesby to put together a good platform for the election. Fourth item is either information or action. Each year there are nominations for different types of achievement awards around the state. And we've indicated here in the staff report, a number of our commissioners and your own staff have received the awards over the years. So if there is any interest in a nomination, this would be a good time to tell us so that we can write up the paperwork and submit that.
Guess if anybody has any ideas, they could get back to Kate on that.
Sure.
Has Sherwood's been?
He has.
He has.
He
Okay.
did receive a Commissioner of the Year.
Okay,
over
that just
some
came to
time
mind,
ago.
so that's, okay, great.
And we can nominate someone?
Yes.
If she wouldn't mind, I would nominate the Supervisor Parker. I think she represented us well at the state level. So it's, she has her chances like anybody else, but I think she represented us well. So why pass up the chance to allow her to receive that type of recognition,
Wonderful.
Great.
if she don't mind?
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
great.
Executive Officers Report? Kate?
Yes, thank you. I'm updating you on three matters, as I mentioned in this one-page staff report. One is an update about the City of Gonzales and their growth plans. You had received a presentation at your March meeting about approximately 400-acre annexation proposal, which would be part of the Fano Ranch just east of town. And since that time, the city staff has met with your LAFCO staff and has indicated that a larger annexation proposal may be considered in the coming year. So we provide some information about that for you. The second item is to let you know that last week our Supervisor Commissioner Chris Lopez and I did meet with two of the small special districts down in the Greenfield community to talk about some different options to help them be more effective and do things more efficiently. To support that discussion, your staff prepared a discussion paper that's attached here to help get ideas flowing. And so, Commissioner, you may have some comments about that.
So we had a very productive conversation between two special districts that historically have not worked well together, but I think with some of the turnover, we were able to bring them together and have a great conversation about how we can move forward leveraging each other's assets to be able to serve the community in a more efficient manner. And so we have some good deliverables that came out of that. They're going to go back and report back as to how they wish to proceed. Again, we didn't want it to be us coming from the outside saying this is what you must do. The memo, as you read it, presented a lot of options. And so they considered the pros and the cons, and in the end, they're going to come back with some recommendations for us. And I'm excited about that. It was a great collaborative meeting, and I want to thank Kate and your staff. I know you had some folks who aren't even with staff anymore that helped put this memo together, but thank you for all your work. I know it's been a slog. I think we started in 2015 having the conversation, but we're here making it happen. So thank you for all your work.
Thank you. And our final announcement is to inform you that we have had a great hiring opportunity, and we'll be bringing Jonathan Brinkman on board as a senior analyst for LAFCO next week. He'll come to us from Fora, where he presently is serving as principal planner. So
I
that
think he's
concludes
one of
my
the six, right?
He's one of the six.
He's one of the six.
Right, and that completes my report. Oh,
Just a quick question on the City of Gonzales, because originally there were 397 acres contemplated, perhaps 1,700 units of new housing. At the 1,300, how many units are we talking about?
Darren, do you know? I don't think that we've seen an estimate of that yet.
No, I think the ratio of the number of units per acre would be pretty consistent with what city staff showed to the commission in March, but I don't know of a specific number that they're thinking about.
Let's look for it down the road.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Commissioner comments? Anyone have any comments from the commission? Everybody ready to celebrate our independence? There you go. All right. I think we can stand adjourned. There we go. That's right.